Get on the train before it leaves the station. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down.
Alrighty, hello there, folks. Okay, as you know, it's MaM-a-Thon has just passed this past weekend here, and some of you may have seen I already pulled out the clip of Steve Moore and I having our chat, and now today I'm pulling out the clip of Syndey and I. So those of you who didn't get a chance to see Syndey goes by Syndey Life's Good on Facebook and stuff, and she was on the channel. And Syndey's has an interesting perspective because Syndey is a family member of somebody who was murdered, but Syndey is also somebody who is supports wrongfully convicted people. She believes that wrongful convictions happen and hasn't allowed herself to be jaded by the unfortunate experience that her family had. So she was very, very interesting to talk to. Very, very, very funny person to talk to. She was great. I enjoyed myself thoroughly talking to her during MaM-a-Thon. It was just brilliant. So wanted to go ahead and upload the segment of her and I having a chat because obviously it's interesting to hear from the side of somebody who actually is part of a victim's family, but who understands that wrongful convictions exist and that is open and objective to looking at that evidence of wrongful convictions. So I think that's brilliant. So without further ado, here is my chat with Syndey. Life's Good, and we'll see you at the end. What I have lined up here before we get to Dr. Silkman is we're going to be talking to a young lady named Syndey, who is backstage now, so I'll go ahead and add her to the stream. Hello, Syndey.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. So obviously we're here talking about wrongful convictions today, and I think talking here with Syndey today, you guys will maybe we'll at least maybe be able to talk about the case here, maybe in a little slightly different point of view or perspective, maybe. And I think maybe I'll go ahead and allow Syndey to start out and explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
Well, in terms of the side you sit on.
The side I sit on. I want to first say, this has been an amazing episode. I can't wait to continue to watch more. But where I am. So I am actually a family member of a murdered victim. My brother was murdered August 8th, 2013 in Springfield, Ohio. So I'm kind of on that weird fence, and not many people ever really bring the family's victims to the stage and talk to them because no one's really ever willing to come forward. So here I am.
Right. So, and the interesting thing is, even though as a victim or the family of the victim in this crime, you would honestly and objectively consider evidence that somebody brought to you suggesting that the actual person convicted may have been innocent. You would actually honestly take an objective look at it, right?
110%. And I think that maybe there's a void or this persona that you can't open your mind or your heart to that and say, well, maybe they could be innocent. And I think that too many times people don't realize that you need to have a little bit of an open mind no matter what the situation is.
Right. And I just I applaud you because I know that you find the evidence in your brother's case particularly convincing, or at least have until this point. Everything, but I think what's interesting, you have taken an interest in wrongful convictions, right?
Absolutely.
What's that? I said, why don't you tell us about some of the cases you follow? Recognize them, I think.
It was quite interesting. So since July of 2019, there have been some things that have happened and changed within my life. And it was September. Around September, I started seeing a case of Adam Brazil. And that's in Tennessee. He's wrongfully convicted. He has since September been released from prison. And that was the very first case that opened my eyes to wrongful convictions. And I started following it, and I was like, wow, that like this is really happening here in the United States and everywhere, really. So I started doing some research and started gathering statistics of wrongful convictions, and it was heart wrenching. It was gut wrenching, and I was like, even though I'm a victim and people see me on this different side, I almost have to be I want to be a voice for those who are wrongfully convicted, because it's happening at astronomical numbers.
And I just find it amazing. I would say that most people who were in your shoes would have difficulty crossing over that,
Yeah.
gap, I guess you might say. So I applaud you, because I mean, there's so many cases that I'm following, where I wish sometimes the victims' families would be willing to take an objective look at what's going on. I mean, Scott Davis is one that jumps to mind, where there's a guy sitting in prison, yet when the victim was in a house fire,
Mm-hmm.
she was calling people and saying that he had been shot in the head. Excuse me? Are you a firewalker or something? It's like, you know what I mean? So somehow the wrong person got focused on and everything. So things like that get me outraged and everything. So, and I wish sometimes that victim's family would take a look, because that particular family is a very powerful family and had a lot of money, and I think ultimately pushed for what happened, even though it was imperfect. And so I honestly wish they would take an honest look at it and reevaluate. So I, like I said, applaud you and your willingness to objectively look at anything that was to turn up. So
and it's a hard transition. My own mother, she's made that transition. She says, if you put something in front of my face and we can prove innocence, I'll stand beside you.
Right.
It is hard. As a victim family member, you want a conviction. That's all you want. You want someone to be held accountable. And you sit through a trial almost all the time, and you get a guilty verdict, and like there's relief for all over your body. Like you just feel relieved. But then there's things that happen, and possibly someone says, well, maybe they were wrongfully convicted. I think that there's a certain way you have to address that to the victims and the families. And if you go into it as respectful as you possibly can and say, hey, look, we found this, you're going to have better results.
Sure.
Not all the time, but a lot of times, you can definitely do that. But I think bringing awareness to wrongful convictions helps a family like mine, because if I wasn't aware of it, I'd still be closed-minded and say, nope, this isn't happening.
Right. So, so I don't know if you said this or not. So how'd you get interested in the Adam Brazil case? Because I know that's going to be a case that gets talked about by a few other hosts here this weekend. So,
Slim.
Oh, your other buddy. So, folks, that's somebody she's going to talk about, but we're not using their real name. So when you hear Slim, that is a personal pronoun. Just so
it's a code word.
Code word. There you go. So, tell us about some of what you've been encountering with Slim.
Okay. So it was July 1st, 2019. We were, as a family, advised that someone was going to be working the case of the person who was convicted of killing our brother, son, our loved one, and they felt as if they were wrongfully convicted. I had one personal phone call and 3 days worth of messages. Mm-hmm. And on the phone call, I made sure it was a 3-way phone call, so I had a witness with me. Something just told me, you might need to be cautious. And that particular phone call a group of words was, we think he's guilty, but there's more to it. And from July 1st, 2019 until today, my family has actually been attacked, harassed, any other words you can use outside of being respected, by Slim. And not my brother has been as well. And we have been on a side of someone attempting to work a case, but not doing it with any kind of morals, respect, dignity, or ethics. So that's how it was. That's how it started for me. And then through that process, Slim actually shared Adam Brazil and his case. And Adam had just recently been released from prison. And Slim didn't like the way that Adam was spending time with his family and wanted him to do things his way. Because as stated, might be a narcissist, and he wasn't really happy with it. And the case just, it struck me, and I was like, how could he just got home? He needs to see his mom.
Right.
And that was the turning point of everything. I followed the Rodney Reed case. I was supporting, I was advocating. I have met so many people in the wrongful convicted community that are like, you keep doing what you're doing. You keep advocating, you keep helping, and we're going to support you because everything that's being done to you is not how it's supposed to be.
Right. And I would point out, folks, that the gentleman she's referring to, he was, when she talks about how he was attacking her and being unpleasant and doing, these sort of things. I mean, you understand. I mean, you got to look at it. This guy is a bit of an activist, right? He means well. Mm-hmm. He means well, but look at how he chooses to manifest that meaning well. Look at the types of things he does, and it's like we've said all throughout this. How can we complain about the ethics exercised by the prosecutors and the law enforcement in the Avery case if we're not going to have those same ethics ourselves when we speak out about it? But we gotta hold ourselves to some kind of standard, and obviously that's what this gentleman is getting wrong. Hopefully someday he'll learn differently. But as it is right now, we shouldn't be ever attacking. I mean, can you imagine, folks, Avery supporters attacking the Halbach family in a way such as, she was suggesting this gentleman did? I mean, it's just not a good look, folks.
No, you gotta, it's almost like you have to take yourself out of your own situation and put yourself in their shoes. And a lot of people can't. That's not a situation that most people can really relate to. My brother will be gone 7 years this August, and I still to this day say, dang, my brother was murdered.
Right.
You don't sit at a round table at the cafe shop and say, oh, my brother was murdered. You don't get that as often. So you have to take yourself and think about how sensitive that can be. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, if you go with it and be as respectful as possible, and you want the victims to be your best friends, like you want the families to be your best friends.
Right.
You have to kind of figure out a way to do that in the right manner. And Slim definitely has put a bad name and a bad taste in the wrongful conviction community. It definitely sucks, but he nor anyone else can bring us down. We're a growing army in numbers by the day. So I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody says, I agree. It's hard to talk murder over a coffee shop.
I can't even look at the comments.
No, you can't? Oh.
I mean, I can. I've got it here, but I'm too focused on you. Like, I'm still sweating.
No, it's getting a little hot here, too. It was actually cooler before the sun went down. I don't know how that happened. But anyway.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway, so yeah, I would say, folks, remember, keep it classy. This gentleman, I guess, I judging from what I'm hearing today, this gentleman is obviously, epitomizes everything that I've been talking about. We don't want to be. Keep it classy, folks. You don't attack. the Colburns in this case, and the Kratz and the Fallons and everybody. Don't attack them with threats and stupid vulgarities and everything. All you need is the facts. The facts are enough. You hit them with the facts and watch them scramble. That's the best thing to do. And then that way you're not being a big old jerk. You're just putting the truth in their face and watching them squirm. And that's, that should be enough reward in and of itself in a lot of ways. I mean, that's why they're all shutting up. It's why they're all clammed up, folks. They know it's there for us to find. They're just hoping something will happen. A miracle will happen, and they will somehow, this will all just dissipate magically. I think that's fairy tale-esque.
Well.
Yeah. Fairy tale-esque, I think. But yeah, definitely. But no, I think that's what they hope, though. They're just going to shut up and hope that they don't have to answer for all this crap. But
when you have determined and passion inside of you, it's not going anywhere. And I've got determination and passion like nobody's business. So like great teams can form when you find the right determination.
Right. Yeah.
And I personally, I want families. Like I said, not a lot of people are aware of wrongful convictions. They don't know the numbers, hundreds of thousands, if not more. And I think that you have to be aware. If you're questioning sitting during a trial, if you're questioning it, you ask some questions. So how did this work? How did that work? Ask questions. I think that we live in a world that we think that the prosecution and the attorneys and the judges just know it all. Mm-hmm. If you're questioning it, then something needs to be addressed.
Yeah. It's true. And I think that's an important thing. I think being that first off, I understand what a difficult experience it is for the families of a victim in a murder case, or particularly heinous ones at that. But on the other hand, with the empirical data coming out of the Innocence Projects, showing us, and honestly, they may not be finding everything just yet. They may only be, getting what they can at this point. Mm-hmm. And there may be still more innocent people that they just don't have the resources to help. Right? So, you got to think about that. But the data coming out of these Innocence Projects is showing us we don't always get it right. And it's also showing us what it is, the things that we continuously do that tend to contribute to us getting it wrong. These things are there, and hopefully our system is going to start looking at that. And with more Kathleen Zellners and various other post-conviction attorneys that are going to probably be emerging over the next 5 to 10 years after making a murder and discovering, lawyers like Zellner, we're going to probably see a lot more. It's going to get interesting, and hopefully we are going to get a bit of a fight back in the justice system where it becomes about the presumption of innocence again and how important that presumption is, because the courts have gotten to the point where they have an attitude of just letting the prosecution run roughshod, and that's just not right.
Not at all. And I think that I was doing some research and was following a documentary of some sort. They would much rather have a plea than to sit through trial and provide all the actual information. They love a plea deal.
Right.
So
how well do you know the Avery Dassey cases?
I am the one that got all of my family to watch the first one. Right. I just have this helping aspect of my life. That's probably why I'm here on this earth. My purpose is to help people. And it intrigued me then. And here I am now. And it's like, okay, you're going to keep doing this. You're going to keep speaking on it. And so I was very familiar with the first one. I've had 2 children since then. So I kind of went down a little.
There was a bit of a gap in between. So, yeah.
But after today, speaking with you and following this, I love your YouTube. This is amazing. I'm sending all my family and friends messages. You guys start watching this. But if you believe that there's wrongful conviction cases, if you watch the first episode, you know that there was faulties with the whole thing. You know it. You saw it. It was right in front of your faces.
Yeah.
So why not continue to follow that and see how this plays out?
Right. So Michelle Moore is asking, if you can if you have a take on the Hall box and where you kind of maybe feel they're at, possibly. I don't know. Obviously, you're not God, and you're not a mind reader, but educated guess maybe.
If I have to be politically correct, professional,
Yeah.
I think that there's a shield, and that you have to break that down.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you just sit back and watch the deck of cards be played, because you're in a lose-lose situation. You have to be open-minded. They have to switch places too. They have to switch places like you would switch places with me. They have to switch places with the person sitting in prison.
Right.
How would you feel if it was your loved one?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
If that is any clarity.
Yeah, I know, but I understand. I mean, I understand the Hall box pain, and certainly I am. This is in no way criticizing the Hall box.
Yeah.
Anybody out there viewing, but
there is a lot of pain.
You would think after the state essentially admits in a court filing that in order to avoid getting in trouble in the Avery case, they actually wrote that they didn't violate statute because the bones they gave back to the family weren't Teresa. They were like animal bones. I mean,
you have to.
As the victim's family at that point, would be going, what? Watch
the algorithms.
Yeah.
If you tell me that I have animal bones, then where in the hell is my loved one's bones?
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
But you have to question everything that you've ever been told when you get some information like that.
Yeah.
If you told me that they had a video of an actual person killing my brother and you want to show it to me, where do you want to meet? What kind of coffee do you want? Let's go sit down.
Right.
I think that I don't know, that's so tricky, because I mean, I am a loved one. I am a victim. My mom, I talked to her today. Her only son was murdered, and she has told the mother of the man that was presumably guilty. He was found guilty. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this has happened to you. I feel your pain just as well. Mm-hmm. But if you are trying to seek his innocence, I'll stand with you. I'll walk him out of prison with you. But the person you have helping you is not the one. She's just trying to educate and help. And I think way too often people are too naive. They don't want to see it. It's the truth. Pick up Google, pick up a book and read. It's there. It's in the open. Like, people are being wrongfully convicted every day.
So Travis makes a good point there, folks. The Innocence Files, the series there, when he said that right now, I was actually thinking about it, going, yeah, they actually did get a lot of victims' families to make a comment in the Innocence Files, which made it even more compelling. So just wanted to point that out there.
I love that. I love that comment. And I don't know if did you follow the Rodney Reed case?
I didn't. Well, I think I remember hearing about it. Was he on death row and he was like...
We talked about it earlier. I couldn't remember.
Dazed. Well, no, but I think, was he dazed? He was dazed from being executed?
Yes.
Right? And it was almost like the judge wasn't going to grant it, and there was a big uproar. And then
they went on Dr. Phil.
Right.
So that particular case, the victim's family stands with Rodney Reed.
Right. Oh, okay.
Stands with him. So there are some cases, probably not as many, where they're standing with the accused and saying, you guys got this wrong. And in this case, making murder, you got Stephen and you've got Brendan, and put your guard down. I know that you wanted a conviction. I know you want someone to be held accountable, But if the wrong person is being held accountable, that's going to weigh on your conscience. You have to sleep with that at night.
Right. It's I just gotta say it like you were touching on earlier. I mean, I want victims' families, and stuff like that I don't expect them to do anything necessarily, but I want them to not be afraid to ask questions of the investigation or anything when they, if anybody unfortunately finds themselves in the situation of having a loved one murdered. I would just hope that people, and I mean everybody in general, be open-minded and ask questions and don't just be blind. I mean, look at what happened by people blindly following the law enforcement here in Wisconsin. I mean, it's disturbing. And I was telling you about an email I received earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody else about this email right now. I received an email from somebody we all know, very somewhat popular guilter, somebody you see comment here on my channel fairly often. I'm not going to say the name because, well, that's just me keeping it classy. But anyway, this particular person sent me an email, and the email was essentially basically telling me, yeah, they wrongly convicted Avery. He got released. Yeah, the investigation with Teresa Halbach, the Teresa Halbach investigation was bad and flawed and whatever. Yeah, Zellner's got the money and the clout and the ability to get Stephen's conviction overturned, and the real killers, Bobby and Scott, potentially in this person's mind. This is, like I said, a guilter commenting to me, folks. This is somebody who believes, has been arguing with me for a very long time, and suddenly sent me this email, and they're telling me what they honestly think. And then they ask me this: when Zellner gets Avery out, that means nobody will be held to account for Teresa Halbach's death and murder. And do I feel that is justice? And this is the way they phrased the email to me. So I immediately answered it saying, because they were also including the fact that the locals there, the people in the area, and what a strain it will be on them when it eventually gets all unwoven here. And so my heart goes out to this person. I honestly, even though this person doesn't agree with me, I do actually like this person. And so my heart goes out to him, and I said, I got to tell you, I really feel for the people there in Wisconsin. In my response, I said, I really, really feel for the locals there. I'm sorry that they are going to have to go through this. It's unfortunate. Having said that, ... And then I went to the next paragraph where I said, but we have a problem here. I mean, you're sitting there telling me that you acknowledge that this thing was wrong. And that it was flawed and has all kinds of problems. I go, let's unpack that. Let's unpack that a bit. I go, because you're telling me about the community at large. I go, so let's count all the victims here. I go, number one, you have the victim's family who walked away happy as a clam with a false conviction, basically. So they have no idea. They don't know they're a victim of a bad investigation. They're just accepting that it was okay. Right. Then you have the actual guy who gets wrongfully convicted. Okay. Or two guys in this case. Right. And then, so you have that and their lives being ruined. Then you have their families. The two wrongfully convicted men have also families that care deeply about them. And you are greatly, changing their lives. Okay, that's a lot of people. Am I done yet? No, I'm not. Because then I get to the people he or she was concerned about when they messaged me. And that's the community at large in the area, who is going to end up probably feeling the effects of it when it gets reversed. And there is probably going to be some kind of a price tag, and that's probably going to get, it's going to raise taxes or do something in that area that is going to be unpleasant for the locals. And I am sorry about that. But I told this person, I go, that's how many victims. If we just turn away from this and say,
Right.
if just turn away and say, oh, you know what, good enough.
It's not good
Right?
enough.
It's not good enough.
Not good
because
enough.
nobody's going to learn anything, and this will just happen again.
Correct.
Right? So then I told this person, I said, you got to honestly be honest with yourself as a local too, honestly, and accept some responsibility in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the man was wrongfully convicted once already. And it was shown just how craven the law enforcement was in dragging him down and ignoring the guy that actually did it, who went on to victimize more women and cause a lot more harm. Are we getting a picture of when we get it wrong, how many people get hurt? Okay, so I told this person basically at that point, I am not going to look away from this because I want the people here held to account. And when this thing unravels after making a murderer, when this thing unravels, DAs, judges, law enforcement officials all across the United States are suddenly going to think, I better stay pretty honest because I don't want some armchair detective asshole like Eric Jose out there to go exposing my dirty laundry.
At our arms.
And I don't mind if he calls me an asshole. So, I mean, that's what's going to happen. And there's more Eric Jose's. You guys are going to see another 8 of them this weekend. I mean, so, I mean.
You're going to have me on here with you.
And yes, you also have your own YouTube channel. So, yes, we have now 9 others. So, anyway, so that's what we're looking at, folks. And that's what I told this person. I just could not believe it that they were basically telling me it was wrong, but they were okay with it. And I was like, okay, let's unpack that.
So, there's so many that are affected, and so many more that are hurt. If you tell me tomorrow that the person that was convicted is 100% innocent and he's getting out, we're all hurt. However, I'm open-minded, and I seen a couple comments. I figured out how to see some of your comments, and there was a couple people asking, how do you get them to take a second look at this? So my voice can be heard all over the place. I will, if I need to be heard, I need to be heard.
Yeah.
Maybe a good idea. You can make flyers. You can print out a piece of paper. You put those up. Give them the statistics of wrongful convictions. That's what did for me. There you go. You're passing them out left and right. I'm gonna ask, how can I get some? You have to bring the awareness. That's what happened to me. I started seeing it, and they may not want to, which is fine. But you don't stop spreading the word. You never stop. Right. It was said that from Slim that I'm going to give up on my brother. You can go ahead and give up on him. No, you never give up. Right. And because we went almost 3 years without knowing who had done it. During that 3 years, I didn't give up. You don't give up on anything. That's not what we're made to do. You continue to do it. They may not accept a knock on the door or a phone call, but respect. You have to have morals, and you have to have dignity about yourself if you're wanting to go and have a conversation with them. Right. It takes nothing to make a YouTube video like we all are, and maybe they'll see me talking and say, okay, maybe we do need to look at this differently. You're bringing in a whole nother spectrum asking me to be here tonight, and I appreciate it more than you will ever know.
That's what I felt that was actually the one thing that having you on tonight was good, because it's just the victims' families can ask for further evaluation too if they want, or they can be objective about it, and there shouldn't there should never be a case where law enforcement make them feel guilty for asking questions or anything. Right. I think it's good if everybody's on board and feels that the conviction is solid. I mean, it's right. I feel the Hallbox were duped in this. My heart goes out to them in every way. I do not blame the Hallbox. I know some people do.
Right.
I don't. My heart goes out to them. Yeah.
unless, I mean, they're involved in it and are red-handed.
Well,
You know.
well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, there are some people who, but anyway,
Yeah.
I honestly feel my honest opinion. It's just a family in pain. And so honestly, I can understand that they wouldn't be wanting to look at or consider Avery and Dassey's innocence. I mean, it's just it's just not something I hold against them. I can understand how that is. So,
Well, and there's that weird aspect of, okay, they're innocent. Who's guilty? And so we know, but how, you want someone to be held accountable, and you're going to have to go through it all over again. And you have to open your mind to it. Like, you just have to open your mind to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so often. I mean, it's like, I don't know how you might feel, but this case was pretty popular. I don't know if your brother's, obviously was in the press a whole lot, but as Brendan was going through federal courts on his habeas petitions and stuff, trying to get released, used to piss me off because they'd go to oral arguments and then they'd have a little press conference after, and you'd see Attorney General Brad Schimmel step up to the microphone, and he was, reporters would be asking him about Brendan, and do you feel that, it was right for the and they'll be picking holes in the case against Brendan, essentially, and everything. And Schimmel would come back with, we wouldn't come back with any substance. We wouldn't come back with anything meaningful. All he would come back with is, well, all I care about is the Halbach family and the Halbach family. And he basically just wraps himself in the Halbachs. And that's his answer about things. And used to just live fry me. I just hated it. And I mean, should law enforcement and DAs and everything be using the families like that, in your opinion, as a, I mean, you obviously had a good relationship with your,
Yeah, this is quite interesting that we're going here on this one. There wasn't a lot of media. We're in trial today. It's expected however long. It wasn't very broadcasted. And we come from a small town also. But it was never, we're going to do this for the family, or I care about how they feel. To be completely honest, we prayed for the man that was found guilty every day during trial. Mm-hmm. My mother hugged his mother and told her she was sorry, because my mother had it in her heart that this mother was losing her son also.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that it takes a real lot of compassion and a different type of person to do something like that. But I never felt the presence of the prosecution. We got to do this for my family and things of that nature. Now, we were separated. Like, his family was on one side, we were on the other. We had our conversations, but what you just described, no, we did not. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like
they were never holding any press conferences or anything regarding
it. We didn't have any press conferences. I think there was a little clip on the news the first day of the trial, and there was a little clip on the last day of trial. And the clip on the last day of the trial only showed the defendant and his response when the judge asked him if he had anything to say. That was it. It wasn't all over the place.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I will at this point open up the live chat here. Anybody have some questions for Syndey? I'll also show you something that Tracy said. So if you really want to stay involved over the course of this weekend, where is she? Where'd it go? Oh man, lost it. Where'd it go?
My mom's going to kill me. We've been making masks for people in our community. Side note, we've done over 2,300 masks in a little over 3 weeks' time, and we haven't charged a soul. But I'm not going to be doing masks this weekend. I'm going to be on the MaM-a-Thon.
Yeah. Here it is right there. She's saying, whoops, not that one.
Oh.
There we go.
Where'd it go?
Hold on. She was asking if you wanted to be on everybody else's segment or any other segments. Hers. She said she's willing to have you on with her or even some of the other hosts. So if you are interested, we can.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all. I don't mind. I'm that's what I'm here for, I guess.
Linda wants me to tell you to please tell you that you're respected and brave, and thank you for sharing.
Oh, thanks. I was sweating bullets, guys. Like I need to turn the AC on.
Let's see, Syndey, you are a warrior.
You know, it's so crazy because like the support system just from my voice and some of the things I do with Slim has been absolutely amazing. It's been amazing. Like I never knew how amazing the wrongfully convicted community could be.
Right. Yeah, it's tough sometimes.
I'm gonna yell at someone.
There are some guys like Slim. So sorry, go ahead.
Right. I'm gonna yell at someone in your chat. It's actually my sister, Maddie. But you better be good. I'm like seeing some things. I don't know what she's got going on, but it's not worth it, girlfriend.
Right. So T1 had a question. I guess you can answer best you can. He's saying, in your opinion, what do you think it would take for the Hall box to take a second look at the convictions? In your opinion.
So I'm kind of dealing with that personally. You bring me solid evidence in a respectful manner. If you come, schedule a meeting, online phone call, you come and say, hey, this doesn't really look right. Something happened here. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the best approaches, but I don't think that can work with them.
Yeah, I think they're closed off. For the most part.
I think so.
Is what you said earlier, right?
Yeah, right. So never give up. That's the first thing. If you have to do your flyers, you have to have more YouTube videos. You have to spread that awareness as best you can. So that could possibly be a route. I don't have an answer. I don't think any of us do. But all it took for me was to learn about wrongful convictions, and here I am.
Yeah.
You might be able to hear a child.
I can hear a little bit. Not too loud, though. Not too bad.
I'm holding the door. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
All right. So, you need to go deal with those kids?
Let me see here. Did Daddy send you up? Can you be very quiet?
Oh, what's up, buddy?
Oh, girl, she just doesn't have a shirt on. Can you say hi? I don't know if I see you. Can you say hi?
Hi. Hello.
You want to say your name? What's your name? Rose.
Rose. Oh, that's a nice name.
All right.
All right. There we go. We had to have the cute kid come in.
Sorry.
No worries. So, oh yeah. See, now everybody's saying hi to Rose.
You're pretty cool.
Yeah. See, there you go.
You're cute.
So.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously very, very interesting, obviously, to see you with your perspective on it, that being that you are part of a family who had a family member murdered, and that you were able to open up and actually consider the possibility of wrongful convictions. I know a lot of people might just feel too hurt and too jaded to even maybe even go that, route or even head down that path. So I think that's amazing that you have been able to bridge that gap.
Yeah. And I like to spread awareness for wrongful convictions also. I'm real quick to share a story and to help bring awareness to that. And I think that I do that more so because so many people don't understand. So many people don't realize. You lock the door. Okay, shh. So many people don't know really how many wrongful convictions are out there.
Right. Oh, true. Absolutely. I mean, it's like I was saying earlier. I mean, I think the Innocence Project is giving us, maybe it's a little more than the tip of the iceberg, but I believe that the Innocence Project is only getting, a limited amount, ones where they can test the DNA, something where they can actually test DNA, and because they don't really have the resources for prolonged legal battles,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. So they find it more difficult to fight some of the wrongful convictions just because it requires so much more resources to do. But if they can test fingernail scrapings, or if they can, if there's something they can test that they can use to exculpate their clients, they will. So I believe the numbers that are coming out they're probably under the amount of actual wrongful convicted that are actually in our prisons. Honestly,
I can agree to that. Absolutely, I can agree with you on that. And it's so sad. It's so sad.
Yeah, it is. That's why, folks, you want to watch the show The Innocence Files. So
that was amazing. I cried the first episode. Episode.
Oh, that show was crazy. They were watching Drizzen Nyrider, Sonia Pfeiffer, David Rudolph, and Jerry Buting were all doing a live watch of episode 8 and doing a Twitter feed while they were watching. So they were all live tweeting while all of them were in their own homes, obviously.
Wow.
Watching it. So it was interesting, but they were watching it and everything, and then they were talking about episode 8. I mean, and that one's really, really, gets me because, that kid was actually he grew up in the country. He was a country boy. You know what I mean? And his mom insisted that he come to the city to live with her and all that sort of stuff. And so he did. And then he ended up getting caught up in that whole thing and everything.
Right.
And so, yeah, and David Rudolph was pointing that out in the Twitter feed and everything. So, I mean, really, really heartbreaking stuff. I mean, because the kid was just a simple kid, and suddenly getting thrown in, the cage with, a lot of very dangerous people.
My heart, when I watched the first episode, to be completely honest, I was so hurt that not only were they were innocent and their lives were taken away from them, and that's what hurts me, and that's where my passion comes from. Their lives were taken, and not many people think about what happens after you're wrongfully convicted or after you're exonerated. You
Right.
may be able to file a suit, but after that suit and you get all your money, there's nothing. The resource, I mean, they're trying to gain these resources, but that's what hurts so bad to me is their lives are being taken away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Stephen and Brendan, their lives have been taken away. And you have to think about that. It's a human being.
There's some things going on in the chat over there. I'll have to look at later. So, but
they're like coming in like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people out there. We got 140 people watching at the moment. So
nice.
So let's see. Oh, hey, look at here. We got our Travis Williamson. Hey, Travis. That episode 8, man. It's all about Texas there.
Thanks, Travis.
So, anyways, let's see. Jerome Budin gave a shout out on Twitter about you, Eric Jose. Yep, I was joking around with all of them, talking about how we had some serious competition tonight because they had originally planned their little event to start at 9:00, and I think. I hope they understood I was joking, but I think because I got in there and started messing with them and saying, "Oh, the competition's going to be rough tonight," and then I saw they had added Jerome Buting. I'm like, "Oh, now now we're competing with Jerome Buting too." I'm like, geez,
You did pretty good here.
And he came back saying, "Oh, it's not a competition. We're the warm-up act."
don't know. They might I don't know. I think you stole the show. First episode.
Yeah.
Chloe.
Oh, Travis says we are full of wrongful convictions here in Texas. Wisconsin are amateurs.
Texas, man.
Is that because of the Texas Rangers?
Texas. Slim
Half
is
of those because of Henry Lee Lucas. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I watched that one. Slim's in Texas.
Is he? Ah.
Yeah, something's going on down there. The water just is horrible. No.
Oh, my trusty Ouija is up. Hello, Sharon Sunshine. That's my friend from Scotland.
Okay, I heard you say that.
Yeah.
You,
you saw her video at the beginning? That was
I
the
did.
video.
That was, you know what? And I wanted to speak on that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
That tribute to her speaks astronomical amounts of respect, dignity, morals, values, and everything for your whole organization. And from me to all of you and Sharon, thank you so very much for that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And I completely understand. We have Stephen and we have Brennan that this is what we're looking at, and this is the main priority. But someone lost their life,
right?
And we can never ever forget that someone lost their life.
Right, absolutely. So, I may have Dr. Silkman here joining us here in a second. So, obviously, if you want to hang with Dr. Silkman and I, you can. And if you want to get on with, I don't know, putting the little ones to bed or something, I will understand. But if you want to hang with us, you can. Hello, Dr. Silkman.
Certainly. I did.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Hey, good.
Oh, I love it. Okay, everybody. So that was my chat with Syndey. Life's Good. That's how you can find her on Facebook. And she is going to be developing a YouTube channel. So I'm very eager to see that as well. So for those of you that are interested, stay tuned with what's going on and see what she ends up coming out with. I think it might be interesting. So I do think she offers a unique point of view, perspective even, being that she is the member of a victim's family. But she very, very clearly does believe that wrongful convictions happen and acknowledges that they do happen. She's pretty satisfied with the justice involved in her brother's case, but she's willing to accept that maybe the justice isn't so perfect in other cases. So it was very, very interesting to be able to get her side of things, to get her kind of the way she looks at it, being from a victim's family, and how she looks at wrongful convictions. So it was a great MaM-a-Thon. This was just another one of the great chats I had. You guys saw Dr. Silkman coming in there at the end. Obviously, you guys can count on that being the next segment that I'm going to be uploading, and I know a lot of you out there love Dr. Silkman, rightfully so. He's a great guy, lovely guy to talk to. So same as Syndey. And and we can't forget the adorable child that came in at the end there, was sitting on Syndey's lap, Rose. So that was awesome, right? I mean, yeah, so we get a little cuteness in there for MaM-a-Thon, of course, and everything. So like I said, brilliant stuff. I know those of you who are looking forward to Dr. Silkman, I know how you feel. I'll be uploading his segment by itself so that it can easily be shared, just his segment, for those of you interested in doing so. Obviously, this is the segment with just Syndey, for those of you interested in just offering this segment with Syndey and the very interesting things that she had to offer and had to say. Now you can just share this clip instead of the entire 3-hour opening segment of MaM-a-Thon, right? So anyways, so that's what I'm trying to do here, is just to make some of these things a little more easily shareable. So I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you guys are enjoying watching these again in the week following MaM-a-Thon. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.